Hello, it is Casey, and it is time to answer some questions about furniture and a little bit about painting, mostly about selling, also about buying it. You may be a customer, you may be a furniture artist who is, trying to sell your furniture. And so I think this is going to be helpful whether you're on either end of that. And so a lot of my armoires, most of my armoires, you can see Norman, my shop is filled with armoires. And so, and all of those are sold except for the brown ones, which I'm going to be starting on pretty soon. So I wanted to come on and answer some pertinent questions that you guys have been asking, and also to explain the process of how things are purchased. What does it take to ship a 450-pound armoire several states away or halfway across the country? What does that look like cost-wise and all of that? And why do a lot of my armoires cost up to $6,500. And so I'm going to explain that to you. And I think my highest selling armoire was about $7,200. Super ornate armoire. Went to the South, had a ton of detail on it. But they've sold, my smaller plain ones have been about $1,800. And then they go all the way up to $7,200. And so anyway, and I've heard people say, oh, those must be for great big houses, or they would only work in big old huge houses or fancy houses. Well, I have to tell you, some of you may be familiar with Tui Armoire. She's currently in my living room. She is sold. I have a cottage and it's not huge. It's my living room, I think, is 20 by 20. It's big for me, but it's bigger where we came from. But Tui looks amazing in there. And so she will be leaving me soon, so I'll need to replace her. But you don't have to have a huge special home. Number one, what you do need to have if you order a big, tall French armoire is you have to have fairly high ceilings. And so the height of the armoire, you need about another 4 inches, maybe 5 inches, at least 4, to have some clearance for when that baby stands up. She needs a little extra clearance. I've had a couple of customers, they're like, how tall is this armoire? I'm like, it's 98 inches tall. And so they thought they were fine because their ceiling was like 100 inches tall or whatever. But it was just barely the height of their ceiling, and there just wasn't room. No matter how the shippers tried, no matter how the customers tried later, they couldn't get it to stand up. So you need to make sure there's clearance. Remember that if you're thinking about buying one in the future. And so here's what goes into pricing my armoires, and here's why they're so expensive. And again, this is for both the seller and the buyer. I think this is information that is going to be helpful for you. The biggest part, number one, is the logistics. The logistics is, expensive on my end. I have to remember that I'm not somebody who's working in my garage, but even if you are a French artist who's working in your garage, if you want this to be a business that's even a good part-time income, or you're going to scale it at least to some degree, you need to start preparing for that overhead. So I have the overhead of a website. I have the overhead of an accountant. I have the overhead of this big shop that I'm in that costs money. It costs money for lights. It costs money to have all of the items insured while they're with me, to have the building insured. And so those are all expenses. It's not just buying the armoire for X amount and selling it for Y amount. And that's a whole huge profit. Now, if somebody wanted to do this, like this is just my grocery money or my vacation money or my Christmas money, or a little extra money each month, you could paint an armoire a month in your garage, not have all that overhead, go and put it in storage. You would still, I think, so most of mine sell and they're with me for a few months once they've sold. That's because I usually have a volume of many at a time that I'm working on at once. And so I'll have several pieces I'm doing at one time. So I know if these armoires are going to be with me for 2 or 3 months, sometimes 4 months, they need to be insured while they're with me, because I don't want to have $25,000 of armoires and them not be insured. So that's an expense, insurance. And so again, some of those admin costs, I don't really do. My marketing is pretty much free. But I spend a lot of time in my marketing. And so like, that's probably, 1/3 or probably a little more than a third of my job, maybe 35–40% of my job is marketing. I do a lot of that through social media, because if we don't sell it, then there's nobody, your product won't be before customers. And so I also have to consider, like, if I'm doing this, if I'm paying myself, this is part of my job, how many hours each week do I spend putting my furniture in front of people? How many hours each week do I spend, writing stories or editing photographs or staging and taking photographs? What apps do I use for some of the staging apps? Also, just putting it all out there, creating videos, which takes a ton of time. And so all of that to say, that's part of marketing, and that takes up a significant amount of time, and which every business has. So if you go into, Gap or Old Navy or Walmart, they have a marketing budget. Well, my marketing budget and all of that goes into the cost of the product. So a little bit of mine does as well. So I have marketing time. I have time spent curating. I have several years of just fine-tuning style and kind of a color theory that I've created and what I go by, and, trial and error and all of this stuff. Then there's the cost of the brushes and the paints and the waxes, the sanding, the equipment, you just name it. We have most armoires. Now, Norman back here did not get a new backboard. Most gets new backboards or shelves. So there's a lot to it. You may think, how does somebody, and some of my armoires, I might get $300 or $400. Some of them I've paid $1,000 or more for. And so it just, I've paid more than that for armoires. So it may seem like, oh, that's so much to charge. But when you look at it just from a business side, not just from, but if you're looking at it from somebody that's working in a garage, it's kind of a hobby, I'm going to do this, I'm going to put it on Marketplace, you can have a lot lower prices. But all the time it takes to create listings and to do all this and get it in front of people. Also, the logistics of arranging shipping. I offer free shipping on 95% of my pieces. And so the cost of shipping will go in. If Norman's going to the next state over, so it'd be a little bit lower. So I gave the customer a break, a cut on the price, because I'm not having to ship them all the way across country. I'm shipping them from Missouri to Oklahoma. But if Norman were to go to Maine or Florida or, say, Washington State, I'd probably pay about $900, $1,100 maybe for Norman to be shipped. If the customer is willing to wait a little longer, I may catch, my shipper when he'll offer me a little bit lower price because he needs to fill his truck. But it's a little bit, might come off $200 or $300. So all that to say, and I only use shippers who show me proof that they have a commercial insurance, that their cargo will be protected. And so that's something to think about. Why do armoires cost $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000? It's because this is a business, and there's a whole lot goes into it. And that's not counting the curating, the hours and hours spent looking, developing a skill of knowing where to look, knowing how to look. There's certain ways that you learn how to look that helps you find pieces that if you look without any skill, you're going to miss a lot of pieces. And then arranging the pickups and all of that. And sometimes we're driving several hours away. A lot of times we'll arrange for these pieces to be shipped to us and delivered to us from out of state, sometimes as far as New York. Now, I do get a lot of people like sending me furniture from all over the United States. And I have to tell you, while that is really sweet, I can only buy from certain places under certain situations. It's in certain times. And so if you see a great armoire and it's in Tuscaloosa or wherever, chances are, or I'm not going to be able to get it. And that's just because all of the conditions, all these factors have to line up just perfectly. Like I have to be looking for something that at that moment, my shipper has to be going there very soon. The people have to be willing to hold it for a little bit and all of this, and it has to just fit in with my budget and everything. So while I do have furniture shipped to me, I really have to be the one to find it, and unless I'm looking for a special piece. So thank you for sending me all this furniture. I get dozens and dozens and hundreds a week, and so it's really almost too much to keep up with. But I appreciate you. But because you find a great piece doesn't mean I really can't like have my shipper like, hey, there it is, pick it up. It just, the logistics don't work that way. And that is all to say, the logistics of finding these pieces and having them shipped here and coordinating all that, a ton of time. And it's a lot of skill to develop too. Plus, we professionally pack these pieces when they leave. So I hope that makes sense. And then what you get, so on the buyer side, what you get is a one-of-a-kind piece that's been thoroughly inspected. It is going to be made of wood. It is going to be typically be a vintage piece or 20 years old. It's going to have some cosmetic imperfections, some small nicks, chips. It's been bumped and scraped up a little bit, but nothing wrong with the structure. They're all cosmetic imperfections that go along with a beautiful vintage painted style. And so it just fits in. If you're wanting something that goes into an absolutely pristine home and everything looks like it's brand new and been a well-kept antique for 300 years, this isn't it. You know, it's probably not for you. But so vintage pieces are going to have character. You can expect that. Here's how a custom order works with me. You can order through me directly. You can send me pictures of pieces that I've done in the past and say, I'd like one like this in either the same style, or we can collaborate on that painted style and colors. And so that will be 50% down. Depending on the piece, I will tell you how long it will take. A custom order takes anywhere from 3 to 6 months. Usually I'm in the 3 to 4 month range, and that's because of the volume of orders that I have. If you want a piece that is very rare, harder to come by, the lead time could be longer for that because it can take a while to find it and have all the conditions match up or I can get it shipped to me. So it's 50% down. Once I curate the piece, once I find a piece that I think is going to work for you, I send it to you and I buy it once I have your approval. If you're like, no, that doesn't work, I'll keep looking. We can add things like shelves, extra shelves or hanging rods, and do a little bit of, moderate customization on the inside. And let me see, what else on custom orders? So you get some progress photos while it's going through the process. Once it's finished, once it's complete, now mind you, it take about 2.5 to 3 months for it to be completed once I receive it. About 3 months. And so once it's complete, then I will send you photos and videos all over. And then the second half of the payment, the remaining 50% is due about 30 days before shipping, because that's about the time I'll begin to arrange shipping. Once I start to arrange shipping, it can take 3 or 4 weeks for the shipper to be able to fit it on his schedule. So it is a whole process for all that to go, you know, to take place. But the result is just to have a gorgeous piece of functional art that's one of a kind, like Norman and Tui and like these guys here. There's not another piece on the planet like Norman. I love that. There's not another piece on the planet like Tui and like Granger, and especially these ornate ones. My customer, Laura, she is going to be the only person to have a piece like him. And so, and every detail is just like calls you in the way you go to art gallery and you just want to like look at a piece. That's why I'm in love with these ornate armoires, because you just want to sit and study it. It draws you in. It's not a one-note wonder, and so functional. Just so Norman's key is inside. You know, the insides can be customized to, you know, many different types of things. And so just what a lovely surprise for him to have. And so anyway, that is how the custom order process works. And it's super, super exciting. I do love Norman. So anyway, I hope this helps to answer questions. I have a lot of videos on YouTube about shipping furniture. When you place an order through me, you can purchase from my Etsy shop. It's a lot easier if I send you a Square invoice. Square is a third-party secure payment processing. It's like PayPal, but much different and better, and we're able to have contracts and all of this stuff through it. So you get a very secure contract before you ever make a payment, itemizing like everything that's going to happen and how it's going to happen, and, you know, an assurance that the shipping is going to be free and all of that. So all that to say, Clyde is available, Miss Century is available, Ted is available, and I will put them in the comments. If you're brand new to shipping, people ask how do I ship this or that. I started out using UShip, very helpful, you know, just very helpful company to use. And you can look at my shipping videos on YouTube to see what all that is like. And I have to tell you, it's an honor to me to be able to paint these pieces for you guys. It's just an enormous honor to have a piece that's going to go in your bedrooms and your front hallways and your living rooms, and that you're going to just display to your loved ones and to your family. And it's just so precious. So I'm very thankful for that. And I work for my customers as though working for the Lord. If anything goes wrong, we'll bend over backwards, take care of it. And so I just hope that gives you some confidence. And to people who are furniture artists, you have to relieve the anxiety of the customers who are spending the money. You have to do things to relieve their anxiety. And so one of the things I do is let people know that I've shipped furniture, large pieces, to 37 states. Over a period of years, we know how to do it. We're good at it. We know how to work with shippers. We know how to package them securely and just all of this. So I hope that gives you some confidence, and I also hope it's a healthy tidbit for furniture artists. It may seem weird speaking both to the buyer and the seller. Oh gosh, but you know, we're pretty alike. We like the same things. Like the buyers like what the artists are making, and the artists are making it because they love it. And so we have a lot in common, and we love something with character and stories and a history and that's unique and that makes a statement and just has a beautiful vintage vibe or a cool aspect to it that you're not going to find at a big box store. You're not going to find it on Wayfair, or you're not going to find it at Pottery Barn. And I don't want to create anything that looks like Pottery Barn furniture. And their furniture is okay. But I don't want to create something that looks like, 2 million other people have. I want to do something that's very unique. And when Laura gets this, nobody's going to have one like it. And I love that for Laura. So anyway, thanks for coming along on this journey with me. I am going to be having a Zoom class. It is $12 a person. It's a meeting. It's not a class. It's a meeting. It is on let me see when it is. It's I'm gonna put it in the comments when it is. Oh, wait, hang on. It's April 27th at 1 p.m. It's on a Saturday. And if for any reason, if I got that date wrong, check the comments and I'll make sure, I'll double confirm in the comments when that is. And so it's free to the people who took the painting class. My class is coming to an end because things have been so busy. And maybe another time I'll pick something up, pick that up again, but it won't be for quite a while. But this Zoom class is going to be, it's just like kind of like a town hall meeting where you get to ask all the questions that you want. We'll go in depth, whether you ask about painting, shipping, selling, starting a business, running an antique store. We are going to have a heyday, and it is going to be wonderful madness. I think you're going to love it. So it's just not very much money for a great time. It's going to be about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. It won't be recorded. You can kind of come and go as you want. So keep that in mind. I'll put it below, and the tickets for that will be on sale soon. And if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments, and I may do a few short little reels and videos to answer those questions. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.